Hi everyone, this is going to be a video for basic positions of the feet and basic positions of the arms for ballet, just understanding a little bit more about where your weight should be, what muscles you should be using and engaging while you're in these positions, and basic transitions in between them. You can definitely use one hand holding onto something as if you were at the bar. If you're going to do it without hands, it's just going to be a little bit more strengthening, a little bit more core engagement. So watch it first, and if you want to modify as you need to, please do. There are 5 basic positions, 6 if you count parallel, but in ballet there are 5 basic positions of the feet. Remember, these were taken from court-style dances from Italy and France. So some of them we still use, and one of them we don't really use anymore because it was more for it was a standing position, a waiting position. So the first position is ironically called first position. Heels are together and toes are at a diagonal. The way to find your first position is you're going to come to a parallel with your toes a little bit apart, kind of standing right underneath yourself. You're going to bend your legs, you're going to lift your toes and rock on your heels, and you're going to open your toes to the side, and then you're going to straighten up. So it's not about rotating as far as you can, it's just about your natural rotation to where you feel comfortable, and then you stay there, and that's your first position. You can pull your heels a little bit closer together. Most techniques will ask that your heels are touching, but we can have a little bit of space. So if you're going to go full classic, your heels are together, your toes are at your diagonal. You should still feel weight forward in your first 2 toes, and still feel weight forward out of your heels, so we shouldn't be sinking back. If we sink back into our heels, we're going to sink back into our knees and into our hips. So the same thing as when you stand parallel, you should feel your weight forward. Even though we're rotated, we're just going to be activating a little bit more of our adductor muscles, which are the muscles in between your legs. They're called adductors because you add things together, right? We're going to be asking our glute, our booty, and a little bit more of our muscles inside of there to be helping us a little bit more when we're holding that position. So that's first position. The second one we're going to go to is second position, and it can operate from either the right side or the left side. So when you're transferring, there's 2 ways. I mean, we can also just slide out. You also have the option, mainly when we go through our exercises, we point through the foot and we articulate to a point with a tendu, and then we lower down through. So second position is just the same as first, only it's a little bit wider. This is kind of allows for a little bit more flexibility in the hips, especially when you're doing plies and things like that. It's a little bit more open, a little bit more grounded because we're spreading ourselves out a little bit more, making sure that the weight isn't sinking back into the knees. We're still forward, and our 10 toes body is still all the way aligned. Yeah, so that's second position. Coming into the next, this is one that we don't really use a lot. It was very Renaissance period. It's called third position. You might see this being used in some ballets as characters standing on the side of the stage, or other core dancers just standing that way. So third position is when you're pulling your heel into your toe. You're pulling your heel into the middle of your foot. So it's almost like that little lift in your arch. Yeah, that's like its little home. So your heel lands in there, and that's third position. So we don't really use this one quite a lot because we developed into what we're going to go into next, into fifth position. So as dancers got more technical and more strong, they tried to make things a little bit more complicated. So that's how third evolved into fifth. So now we have from third position, this is a really easy way to find your fourth position. This is the next position. Fourth is one of the most difficult positions for me, especially just because now we have to keep rotated, but one foot in the front and the back, while keeping the rest of our body nice and still facing front and holding. So this position is known for its difficulty in staying rotated. So while you're in your third, your heel is in the middle of your foot. I just want you to slide it on the ground in front a little bit. And so now, because of that, you should find a slight, you might have to scoot it over just a touch, but you also may not have to. You're going to want to find a line from your front heel to your back toe. So there should be a nice line connecting them, okay? So My third is here. I slide it front, and that's my fourth. Both toes are still rotated out to the side. Both hips are opening, but my back doesn't get to sag, and I still have to stay pull up tall through my belly button and all the way up through my spine. My weight is still forward in both feet. Something that I want us to be careful of in particular with this position is rolling in of the feet or rolling out. So rolling in is when you're gonna roll in so your pinky toes almost come up off the ground, and then reverse, right? If you're interested in the correct terms for those, that's called pronation and supination. So pronation is when you're rolling in, you're coming into your body, and supination is when you're rolling out because you're kind of creating like a bowl of, it's easy to think about like a bowl of soup, okay? So it can be particularly difficult in this position because we're asking so much of really small muscles to work. So when we're here, if you're in this position, you can relax your turnout a little bit. Just be gracious with yourself and listen to your body of what it is, especially if it's a new position. You still want both weight, you want both feet evenly on the ground, and you want your weight in between 2 feet. So if you needed to, you could releve or you could lift 1 foot off and be okay. So that's your fourth position. Coming into your fifth position, here we go. You're going to pull your heel back into your toe. So this is my front foot. I'm gonna pull that heel into my toe. We're kind of familiar with this one right now. We've been adding it into our plies and our tendus. So this is your fourth position, but it's just closed. So it kind of looks like you're hiding 1 foot in the back. So you'll see this crossed position. It's a very crossed position. Your tops of your legs are still squeezing together. Your booty is still squeezing together. Your front heel is to your toe. And then you can also reverse that. So if I take my front foot and I push it out to the side, just like, or I pull it out to the side to a point, just like you do with your tendus, you can cross it and pull it back. And that's just the opposite side. So heel is always to a toe. And that's very common, and we still have to stay rotated here. I find this one a little bit easier just because the weight's a little bit more centered right underneath yourself and everything can be in line. So it's a little bit easier to main rotation with this one. So going through the positions again and moving through them all, you have first position, you have second position, third, fourth, and fifth. And you'll see that I just did a tendu to get in transition, and then I can tendu and pull back to my first. So first, second wide, third, heel into the middle of the foot. Fourth, I'm gonna let my heel lead and have my toe be the end of it, and then roll down through. And then I'm gonna push back through that and put my heel to my toe for fifth. And then I point and I'm back in first. And that is ballet positions of the feet.